Okay.
Okay, so every time somebody does these, like you have a setup before, like we would chat for 5 or 10 minutes before the recording.
Okay.
But that's the most valuable part. I don't want to lose that.
Oh, okay.
Like
Sure.
I'm Super Fist. This is Jason. We're talking about Ethereum. This is our second chat. We did this yesterday, right?
We did.
What did you think?
Well, I mean, beyond just recapping, it was definitely brought to my attention to reframe one's perspective away from. I think if you need to focus on community, and you need to focus on something more than just what is happening on in terms of the ticker and the market value, and you know, the equivalent of the Wall Street guy with the headset on the phone, buying and short selling and things of that nature. So it definitely brought to my mind, okay, so there needs to be a feeling of community. So now I'm wondering, what is that community? What are the tenets of that community? What are the components? Is it just people that get online and make investments? But I can't help but think that it's broader than that. And what are the ethical implications of it? Those are I guess, the things that are floating around in my mind right now.
I love this. So you need to know that I'm not opposed to markets. I don't think that markets are wrong or broken or that like you should never do them. I think that or in general, markets are not the thing that bring value and success in cryptocurrency, if that makes sense.
Clearly.
So like you have all of these people who think or who want crypto to be like stocks. Like there's a company and I'm gonna invest in this company, and because I gave them my money, they're gonna grow and make more money, and then I'm gonna get money out of it, and everybody wins.
Well, you get on Robinhood, and I mean, it looks like the two areas are right next to each other. There's not much distinction other than a line on the screen between the two, and it looks extremely similar. There's not a lot of distinction that the common man would see.
Yeah, yeah. And so I don't know the best analogy. I'm kind of thinking maybe crypto is maybe a little more like Kickstarter, where so you go to a Kickstarter project and there are, number one, there are thousands of Kickstarter projects. There are thousands of cryptocurrencies. And so you're looking through them and you're like, which of these Kickstarters do I want to you're not looking to invest in a Kickstarter. You're looking to participate in something that's bigger than you. Like you want to combine your money with a lot of other people who will then, give the opportunity to build something. And when that thing is built, you're going to get one. And that's your payout. Your payout isn't like I gave somebody $50 on Kickstarter for a widget and then I became a millionaire. Your idea is I gave somebody $50 on Kickstarter and now I have this cool thing that I can play with. I think that might, sure, great. Do I don't know what to do in these times. Are you there or not?
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know if I should continue talking to myself or no, what.
I'm in earshot.
Okay. So it's like a Kickstarter. Maybe. And every analogy has holes, but the idea here isn't that we pour money into a company and sell shares and get money out of the company. The idea is that we work together to build something bigger than all of us, and all of humanity kind of gets the benefit. And what we haven't really talked about is like what that benefit is.
Okay.
It's more than just buying and selling tokens.
Right. So what are then those benefits? How is this currency? What are the advantages of it as opposed to like government-backed currency like a dollar or a euro or
Yeah,
something.
that's cool. I would say, like, to begin with, well, big picture, I only talk about Ethereum. I don't really talk about, I have knowledge and experience with hundreds of other cryptocurrencies, but I don't care about them. I only care about Ethereum. It's the only thing to me that seems to be to have the potential to change the world right now. And so the question is, what is interesting about Ethereum that makes me want to participate in that? And I should begin by saying disruption is the key. Disruption of the existing not just financial ecosystem, but financial, social, like business, disruption of all of these industries. And I'm so hesitant to use that word because to me, disruption means you're going to break something. Like, you're here to destroy the old and bring in new. I don't think of Ethereum like that. I think of it as kind of an additional layer to bring greater value to existing platforms. So in terms of banking, like a currency, Ether as a currency or a stable coin that is controlled by thousands, hundreds of thousands of individuals around the world rather than a central bank, has more impartiality. It cannot be rigged. It cannot be used against you. The rules cannot be changed. You cannot be, like, unfairly penalized. It essentially offers freedoms that don't exist now for everyone in the world.
Okay.
That, I would say, is one of the, like, beginner first use cases of cryptocurrency, like access for everyone. So I also think of it like that financial aspect is first, but we're moving into other things now. Digital ownership is super interesting. I guess you know about NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so NFTs, like, right now are essentially JPEG art. They're like a graphic thing that you own and you trade, and sometimes they trade for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I don't really understand it. Like, I literally don't understand it.
Okay.
But the future of that kind of commerce is like NFTs representing real world things like houses and cars, buildings. And so that when you're trading an NFT, that NFT is a legal transfer of ownership of something physical in the real world. So
Right. Yeah, we're not
instead
there.
of having a car title that gets lost, or having to go through an escrow company to buy a house, it's literally exists. The ownership exists as an NFT, and it's visible to everyone instantly, because it's right there on the network.
Okay. What happens if there is like last night I'm watching this conspiracy video about solar flares. What happens if there's some sort of event of great magnitude that puts the systems that we rely on to convey that information? What happens if those systems are temporarily compromised? I don't know, like even just a cyclone or a hurricane, or something where network availability goes from plentiful to hard to acquire.
Yeah, very cool. So right now, almost all of the records that are kept digitally anyway. And so it's not like by using a different digital system that we're introducing more risk. Right now, your county clerk's office has a digital record of who owns what. And I guess maybe they have papers that can be filed that could easily be wiped out in a tornado or hurricane or whatever. So what we're adding is a layer of decentralization so that those records are stored all over the globe.
Oh, it's even easier to recover them in the event of
exactly. Yeah. So they don't just exist in your local record keeper's office. They're available globally anytime. there is a real likelihood of like a global disaster that like knocks off half the world. And the reason that I'm so big on decentralization is because I don't want those things to disrupt service. I think that we should plan for those things. We should honestly plan for world wars that cause countries to say, we're cutting off internet access. And I believe that networks, decentralized networks, should be able to permeate that. And I don't mean that in a way that is like, that is pejorative to governments. I mean it in a way that people should have access to their data and records no matter what. That the needs of human individuals should transcend the desire of governments to control things.
Historically, prior to World War II, the value of currency has been a big precursor and sometimes, a catalyst into World War events. What are the implications of what I guess is kind of a dynamic nature of cryptocurrencies for political stability or for political instability?
Yeah, I don't have a big like geopolitical view. I'm less interested in. So for me, governments are conglomerates of people who seek to serve a broader group of people. Like that's what a government should be. A government should be, I give Jason and his team $100 and everybody else gives them $100 and they build roads and schools and yay, we all win. We get stuck in this idea that governments are competitive bullies, and it just I'm not interested in pursuing that narrative. I'm interested in empowering people to have the opportunity to control possessions and be I still encourage participation in government. Like I'm not anti-government by any stretch. I just believe that governments exist to empower people in the same way that I think cryptocurrency exists to empower people.
Okay.
And maybe the idea there is like, we tend to put government as like the first layer of importance. And really, the first layer of importance should be people, with government as a support structure, the same way that cryptocurrency is a support structure, not we all exist to serve a government.
Correct. But I guess the question I am asking was more about the importance of, I guess, stability, the security of stability, and does cryptocurrency offer more stability than traditional, I don't know what to call, governmental currency? Does it offer more? Is there potential for more security in the future? Although, is it the insecurity and potential dynamism that got everybody involved in investing? Is that what you want? Will it incentivize geopolitical instability, or will it help solidify it?
Yeah,
I guess I'm asking you to predict a lot.
Yeah, there's something we call Lindy time. That's Lindy, Lindy time, and it is the longer something exists, the more faith you can have that it will continue to exist.
Gotcha.
So right now, when you look at the US government, I guess it has been in existence for like 350 years. So yeah, so I can have that. I can have some amount of certainty that when I wake up tomorrow, it will still exist because of the 350 years of history. Ethereum has been around since 2015. So it is about 7 years of Lindy. And in that 7 years, it has been stable and predictable. Like, I'm not talking about markets. I'm talking about the chain. The protocol has worked stably and predictably. So that gives me 7 years of Lindy time that I can wake up tomorrow and know that that's the likelihood it will continue to exist. Now, in terms of like the robustness of systems, um, a smart contract platform or a platform like Ethereum is, 1,000 times more robust than a group of guys in a back room who are like represent the Fed, and they're like arguing and debating how things are going to work.
Okay.
So 350 years of guys, chatting about how things are going to work versus 7 years of programmed rules that are followed flawlessly. They both have some level of certainty that they're going to continue. There's a point in the future where we're going to have more or less faith in cryptocurrency to do the things that people have done for 350 years. I don't know when that point will happen. It could be in a week. It could be in, 100 years. But odds are that it will happen well within our lifetime. Yeah. Just because it's such a more robust system, but it still needs Lindy time to guarantee that the likelihood is going to continue.
Let's see.
You see our
Yesterday,
YouTube comments? Sorry.
I'm sorry, did you ask me a question?
Yeah, did you see the YouTube comments? I thought those would be fun to chat about.
I did. Or at least I saw a couple of them. And I think I was trying to allude at least to the first few questions, to the one you pointed out to me, just about, why the advantages of this versus a government-backed, currency, and why it might be in one's interest to, consider that over.
I can't iterate enough that like the goal of Ethereum, the historical goal of Bitcoin was to replace fiat money. Like we're going to replace all the money in the world with Bitcoin. I don't really think of Ethereum in that way. Our goal is not to take over anything. Our goal is to improve everything. So I don't see it replacing the US dollar. I see it supporting and improving what exists as the US dollar. And then over time, like making those systems better, not saying, you shouldn't take US dollars, you should only take Ether. I don't see that future coming soon.
Okay, well, to piggyback on that, you mentioned yesterday a few applications of using Ethereum in real life situations. I mean, you mentioned POAPs, and I think D5. I can't recall exactly what application. What do you see on the horizon in terms of broadening potential applications? Do you see what exists now, practically speaking, other than sitting there and looking at values jump up and down and deciding when to invest and when to withdraw? How can you use it in the real world?
Yeah, so that's still a leap that we haven't accomplished. POAP is something that I would like to get into in one of our future chats and even like do a walkthrough and demo. But I have seen a lot of potential for things like crowdfunding and crowdsourcing. And the first example for me of that, it's a terrible failed example, but it would have been so cool if it worked out, was Constitution DAO. And about 6 months ago, a copy of the US Constitution went up for auction. And some people developed a smart contract on Ethereum called Constitution DAO, where you could put your funds in, anyone could put their funds in, and they would get a fractional portion of that bid. So I want to say they raised like $40 million. And it's a guess. I don't really recall. So you have people from all over the world who are crowdfunding to put money into this contract to say, if we win this auction, we're going to buy the Constitution DAO, this copy of a printed copy of the Constitution, and then it will be electronically owned by all of the people who hold those bid receipts. And that's called fractionalizing. It would be fractionalizing ownership of that copy of the Constitution.
Yeah, guess I see that more and more where people can invest in small shares. I don't know. I get a lot of ads for art investment where you can own a share of a piece of art and people can all grow as it appreciates interest. But yeah, I've seen, and I guess Kickstarter campaigns very similar to that.
Yeah, you could see like a lot of things, a lot of ownership, even revenue generating ownership. There have been several attempts to do things like real estate purchasing or even like renting apartments, and then you get a fractional payment of the rent generated from that. I don't want to suggest that we're there, like all of this is going to work.
Right. I'm interested in future implications.
We're building it. Like it is going to happen in the future. It's not, and I guess, you know, that's what participating in Ethereum is. Do you believe that this is possible and it's going to happen, or do you believe that it's a bunch of goofballs who are just like making these huge false claims that will never go through to get your money? That's the big dilemma at hand. From my observation, really awesome things are going to happen soon because I observe them being built every day. I can also understand people who are like, this is a fad that's going to disappear. They just don't get it yet.
Well, this is hilarious. I'm trying to think of how to ask this question, and every line, the expression is monetarily related. So I'm like, so what is the bottom line?
You can be you. You don't have to, for my sake, you don't have to ignore markets. I'm sharing like what I believe is the best approach. But if you need to talk about money, then I'm okay with it.
No, I don't need to. It's all just embedded in the language. You know, you're talking about if you believe in it, and the expressions that come. I mean, I want to ask you, how do you show that you believe in it? But the first word that comes into my mind is, how do I invest in the idea? So then you have the monetary term of investment. And then I think of the expression, put your money where your mouth is, which is also talking about a monetary investment. But I'm trying to frame the question
I can do this.
Okay, hit me with it.
I can. The question you're answering is how do I get involved? Right. And the only thing you can see is money. Like the only thing that people begin with is this concept of buying in. But I would honestly say
the economy is terrible. And so like expendable income in an investment sense is just sort of across the board, not as available as it was.
Oh, yeah.
So investment is difficult. And I have a feeling that investment is how you get involved.
I mean, there's some truth to that. Like from my perspective, the most successful people are the people who participate in the ecosystem by building things. And as you build things, and when I say build, people immediately assume it means I'm a developer and I'm founding a company to build a project, and that's how I'm going to make money. Building is what we're doing right now. We're building awareness. We're educating people. People are listening to this and they're like, I didn't know that was how that worked. That's pretty interesting. So I think there's this guy called Whack Whack Attack. He that's just his name. He isn't a developer or a coder, but he was so passionate about things that were happening in an ecosystem that he just like created a podcast, and like every day for 30 minutes he just talks about the things going on in that podcast in that community. He is building in his own way by providing education, by sharing information, and now that community is setting up a grant for him so that he'll get regular payouts to do that kind of work
for continuous work.
Yeah, and so that is a way to get involved. You do not. Everyone thinks this is about putting money in, taking money out. I believe it's about putting effort and energy in and getting results and a platform out. Like Ethereum to me is not about like selling tokens and getting money. It's about how is this going to change the world so that things will be interestingly different and better in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I have financial investments that I hope do well, but because I don't want to like I don't want to lie about it, but that's just not why I'm here. It's just a side
Clearly.
part of it.
Gotcha. But yeah, that was a curiosity. But I see what you're saying. The more legs the stool has, the harder it is for it to tip over, and or a bigger.
Getting information out is one of the most difficult things in all of Ethereum, and it's because things build so quickly. There are thousands of things going on. It's difficult to distill information down into bite-sized packets and get that to everyone. So that is the role of the community. That is like all of us working together to put these things to use.
Well, I'm going to be honest. Those are the questions that I put together between last night and this morning. I had some older ones from our first talk, but those I think we've pretty much covered the things I was wondering about. But however we want to move forward from this point.
What do you think? I mean, I feel like a lot of today's chat has been just like bouncing off those questions, but like,
well, the ones I have now are a little bit more specific, a little bit more refined. These first ones were sort of broader and generalized, and then the couple that I had were a little bit more specific. Like, I was wondering if you could elaborate on DAO. I'm not exactly clear about what DAO is.
Yeah.
You want to talk to me about that? I would love to have a better understanding.
Yeah, that's a really great one. And what we find, a DAO is a kind of a new concept that became possible because of smart contract networks. So the most important thing to acknowledge is it is a concept in its infancy. So there are ideas about what it is, what it will be, but I guarantee you in 5 years, it will look radically different. So DAO stands for Distributed Autonomous Organization, or decentralized. That's that one day, maybe tomorrow, we'll talk about the difference between
blockchain.
Sorry?
That sounds conceptually very similar to what blockchain is.
Yeah. Well, and I misspoke because I was recently joking about this. It is a decentralized autonomous organization. A distributed would mean there are like 5 participants. Decentralized means that there are essentially infinite participants. Infinite is not the correct word, but numerous participants.
Many, yeah.
So it's a decentralized autonomous organization. The core idea is that it is a group of people who are unrelated to each other, who have a shared interest, who kind of participate with a contract to make governance choices. And so let's talk about Constitution DAO. So Constitution DAO are, someone creates a smart contract that says this contract will take bids for the Constitution. If the bid is successful, then the Constitution DAO will own that copy of the Constitution, and all of the people who made bids will get fractional ownership. All of that can be programmed into a computer. It can be executed by the Ethereum smart contract, as long as like the people part of this is like the physical copy has to legitimately be acknowledged to be owned by a smart contract. So someone somewhere has to make that leap, in that mental leap. Like, it will be in a museum and the owner of record will be Constitution DAO. And so me as a home person, like, I have a computer and I participated in this DAO. And so I have then like 1% of that Constitution. And what the DAO does is like, it makes decisions like, what are we going to do with the Constitution? Where will it be on display? When will it be moved? Should we submit it for cleaning? It makes the same kinds of ownership decisions that a person would make, but it makes them through a smart contract governance process that
Does
can be
that
distributed.
My question and concern would be that that would slow the process down agonizingly so. Does it seem to retard the process to a frustrating rate?
So that's a great question. There are a couple sides to that. The first thing is you can do quick voting. You can say this vote will be up for 12 hours and we're going to take a majority of whoever votes.
Okay.
What does happen is you end up with, you can have like weighted governance where you find out that one party controls, like maybe I control 53% of it. And so whatever I vote on is effectively going to be the outcome. That's one issue with it. You had said, does it make governance slow? We also have like ideas of delegation. So for example, I'm a delegate of something called the ENS DAO. There are hundreds of thousands of holders and maybe like 50 delegates. People say, hey, I trust him. He's going to be my delegate. He'll read all that and check yes or no.
So it's after some existing sort of,
yes,
understandable, relatable governmental systems like we see, using the delegate system, for example.
It really just takes it to the next level with codification and programmability so that it can be streamlined, efficient, accurate, trustworthy, things like that.
Are the code writers the rule writers? What is the relationship between somebody who technologically embeds the rules into the system versus someone who ideologically formulates or dictates what those rules might be?
Yeah, this is great. So most Ethereum smart contracts are written in a language called Solidity. It's
code.
Sorry.
This is code. I'm not.
Yes. It is. It is a programming language where you literally write rules. If someone has this address, they may do this. They may not do that. And so, an actual computer programmer, someone who understands Solidity, would take these intentions and write them in code, and then they would submit it to the smart contract network. And so they would like upload that contract to Ethereum. And then people can choose to participate. They can download the code. If it's open source, they can look at what the contract does. They're usually, for example, me, like I'm relying on other people who I know can read the code better than I can to say
implications for literacy going on, because we're marginalizing. Very, very few people have the literacy skills to even understand or use that particular language.
Yes, there is an awesome literacy program developed by Austin Griffith, a friend. He has a platform called speedrunethereum.com. I think it's .com. But it is essentially like modules that help you learn. It's really designed for existing developers, but anyone could do it with enough interest. And it's a step-by-step like videos and tutorials about how to develop smart contracts on Ethereum. And the beauty of that is also the risk. Because it is computerized governance, there can be bugs in the code. And that's one of the things that we as a community struggle with right now. Like if there is a bug in a code, it could mean that that we bought the Constitution, we clicked some buttons, and oh no, we accidentally sent ownership of this Constitution to the wrong person on accident because it was coded wrong.
So what safeguards are in place or in development? I mean, if we know if you guys know that there's a problem, I'm assuming there are safeguards.
That's called smart contract risk. It is a thing. It goes back to Lindy time again. Like the longer something is on the network, the more faith you have that it's going to work. If someone develops a smart contract, the first thing they need to do is have it audited by smart contract auditors. These are people who are like combing through the code and looking for errors and potential problems. And then the people who write it will improve that before they put it on the network. And once you deploy it, once you deploy it to the network, you have this expectation that it works as you expect. But then you still need to give it time, because there are lots of people who want to profit. So they're going to attack that smart contract, and they're going to try to break it or make it do something malicious.
About hackers or the, I don't know.
I mean, what is that? You know, they're nice guys who just want to make a profit.
Okay.
I'm not interested in like framing them as people who poke at smart contracts aren't necessarily bad or evil. They're just curious, and maybe they're looking for trouble. I don't really, in that they're not trying to, steal or damage. They're just poking holes. It's an expectation.
Okay.
So if the smart contract acts as it's expected, and it's been online for 6 months and it continues to act as it's expected, you can have a fair amount of certainty that it's going to continue doing that for the future. There's also a risk that someone will discover a bug and they'll be like, hey, we discovered this, we have to upgrade it or change it.
I mean, that's typical. Every time there's a software rollout, at least I know for my phone, there's the bug period, for a month or two afterwards, where there's like a fix every couple of days. I can only imagine that case anytime there's, maybe with Shanghai, when it comes out, there may be a period of, a week or so. Where
it's funny you say Shanghai. So we have 2 minutes. I'm gonna tell you why this is very, very relevant to the Ethereum community. Yesterday, I mentioned that there was an Ethereum fork in 2016. That Ethereum fork was caused by the first DAO. It was actually called the DAO. We didn't have then DAOs for Constitution. It was just the DAO, and that DAO contract took in a ton of Ethereum, and it was exploited. Someone drained a ton of ether from that DAO into personal wallets. They found a hole in it. They were like, hey, this smart contract doesn't work. I can drain funds. It's essentially like you have a company and you have a bank account and some other person goes and makes withdrawals from that account.
This is a code vulnerability that was...
A code vulnerability, yes.
Okay.
So a group said this was the way the contract was designed. It was not hacked. It was doing what the code was supposed to do. And they said code is law.
Okay.
Yeah, they are the code is law group. Like if the code said that we're going to send all of our ether to the wrong person, then code is law. We're going to stick with that. They forked as Ethereum Classic. The rest of us said code is an expression of what people think it should do. So if I wrote code to do this job and it doesn't work, then the code is flawed. What we really wanted it to do was do this other thing. So code is an expression of community will. We're going to time out.
Uh-oh.
But hey, it was fun. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Or soon, whenever.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do it tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Later.
We'll put it up. I'll link you to it.
Sounds good.
I talk too much. All right. See you, buddy.
Later.